What's up, fellas? It's your boy, Alan Roger Currie, coming back from Los Angeles. Had a good time in Los Angeles. Worked with a client out there. Again, Los Angeles probably has my highest percentage of one-on-one face-to-face coaching session clients. Yeah, when it comes to one-on-one face-to-face coaching session clients, that's where... Now, as I mentioned in one of my Patreon exclusive live streams, and now I'm mentioning it to the general public, this guy is lucky because he got the last of my old rates. My old rates. Because I had mentioned on a few videos back in 2017 that I said I got a cousin who works on Wall Street. And you know, if you work on Wall Street, you're all about money. And honestly, one of my criticisms my cousin from Wall Street had of me, he said, Alan, he said, cuz you lowballing yourself. You lowballing yourself, man. Particularly, you market yourself as one of the best, if not arguably the best dating coach out there, but yet you're lowballing yourself. If you consider yourself one of the best or the best, your rates for your coaching and consultation should be commensurate with that. And yeah, because the last time I had raised my rates, I think was like 2016. 2016. Yeah, I had said I was going to raise my rates in January of 2017. I didn't. I postponed it. Then I said I was going to raise my rates in January of 2018. I didn't. And then in January, because usually that's the month I usually raise my rates, is usually at the beginning of a new calendar year. So you can say this is like what? All in 17, all in 18. This is like 2.5 years overdue. But yeah, if you go to my coaching page now, you'll see my email consultation rates have gone up. My Skype and telephone consultation rates have gone up. And probably the biggest area is my one-on-one coaching. It's going up big time. I'll give you one example. Back in 2016, you could do a 4-hour. For one-on-one coaching, I have a 4-hour session, an 8-hour session, and a 14-hour session. My 4-hour session used to be $1,000. It used to be $1,000. Now, my 4-hour session is like about $4,000. No, it might be 5,000. Yeah, I've upped my rates on my one-on-one coaching. Like now, if you do a 14-hour session with me, 14-hour session used to be just under 3,000. Now that's 10,000. So, yeah, man, I ain't selling myself short no more, man. Nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Anyway, but I had a good time. Hooked up with one of my fraternity brothers that I hadn't hooked up with in a long time out there in LA. We were at a party for this movie coming out called Party with Ma, or just Ma, with Octavia Spencer. Yeah, that was a cool party. A lot of honeys there. A lot of honeys there. They was all young, but there was a lot of honeys there. Anyway, what I want to talk about, and normally my free portion of my video goes about 15 to 19 minutes. I'm going to predict this might go a little longer. This video is not going to really be about giving you dating advice as much as it's going to be about just the general subject of taking advice. The general subject of taking advice. So yeah, so I'm going to let you know this video will not really be about me dropping game or giving any type of dating advice, but this is going to be about just the subject of you guys taking advice from people. Well, first, before I get to that, now, you know, I've had this lighthearted beef with a brother named Big Mike from Mac City Limits. And I see he's turned that lighthearted beef into a string of like 5 different videos. Ha! Big Mike's funny, man. Try to use my name to create like 5 different videos. But it's about the issue of swagger jacking. And I called because, you know, he's the one who tried to come at my fan base, man. I'm very protective of my fan base. Not all of my fans, because I know I got some outliers who are really not truly my core fans. They just, whatever, they might watch my videos. But, when it comes to my core fan base, I'm actually very protective over that. I don't want anybody trying to undermine my fan base. And Big Mike said some shit I didn't like. So I called up that brother, man, and let him have it. But we ended up having a discussion, like a 45-minute discussion. And I think he ended up turning that into a Patreon exclusive video for his listeners and followers. But here's what I want to make clear, though, related to that. I want to make this big clear because this has kind of been a talking point among some few people. There's a big distinction between swagger jacking and plagiarism. I want to make that perfectly clear. Those are apples and oranges. I say maybe 5% of the time they could overlap. Maybe 5% of the time the two concepts could overlap. But for the most part, those are two separate subject matter. Is what's known as swagger jacking. And again, some of my non-black fans might not know what that is. Most black people know what that is. Swagger jacking and plagiarism. What is the difference? Swagger jacking is when you're basically emulating someone else's style. That's swagger jacking. Is when you're emulating someone else's style. Like, for example, I wear a lot of black shirts. If someone was to go in their videos always wearing black shirts, that would mean they would be swagger jacking me. I always hold up a drink at the beginning of my videos. And a lot of times I give you guys a very pensive stare before I even start talking. So if someone else was to hold up a drink and give you a pensive stare before they start talking, that would mean they're swagger jacking me. If just the way I say certain things, like my tone of voice, my overall quality of voice, my vocal inflections, someone else was to sound similar to me in terms of their tone of voice, quality of voice, their vocal inflections, that would mean they're swagger jacking me. I already gave you one example with celebrities. Kobe Bryant has been accused of swagger jacking Michael Jordan, which he openly acknowledges he has. So it ain't like he denies it. Kobe has many times acknowledged that he swagger jacked Michael Jordan. Tom Brady said when he first became a quarterback, he was trying to emulate Joe Montana. I just recently watched a video where Steph Currie of the Golden State Warriors said, he named three people. When he started out, he wanted to emulate. One was, of course, his father. His father was a great shooter in the NBA. His father, Daryl Currie. Second, he said, was Reggie Miller. And third, he said, was Ray Allen. He said those are three guys that you could say he initially patterned his game after until he developed into his own style. Eddie Murphy basically said he swagger jacked Richard Pryor before he developed his own style. And Richard Pryor, interesting enough, swagger jacked Bill Cosby to a degree when he was first starting out until he developed his own style. A lot of young people do that with older people. That's common. That's common. I don't really have much beef with that. In case people think I got beef with that, I don't have some of my fans, followers, clients might have more beef with that than I do. I don't really have a beef with the concept of swagger. Like I was watching the young brother who I mentioned before on my channel, C Boogie. He did a live stream. He actually did a show called Is C Boogie Swagger Jacking Ellen Roger Currie? And then he did a live stream that was kind of like a sequel to it or something. But he mentioned something that I totally agree with. He said, I'm going to be paraphrasing his words, but essentially he said, I'm not intentionally trying to emulate Alan Roger Currie or his facial expressions or his behavioral mannerisms, etc. But he basically said, that said, if you like someone's content and you're listening to someone you respect and admire, it's almost inevitable that either consciously and intentionally or unconsciously, subconsciously and unintentionally, you're just going to find yourself patterning certain things after that person. He said it's almost inevitable. And I agree with him. I was in his chat room and I told him, I said, I agree with that. So it's true, man. Most young people, like, again, using athletes. Most athletes, like LeBron James said, a lot of his passing style was influenced by Magic Johnson. Until, of course, he developed his own, LeBron style. A lot of young people, a lot of young athletes, a lot of young entertainers, like Michael Jackson, I think I mentioned. He patterned a lot of his song and dance style after James Brown until he developed into his own style. So that's almost inevitable. Swagger jacking, particularly again, when it comes to a person that you like, respect, and admire. Like, respect, and admire. I give you the best example with me, and everybody should know this. If there's at minimum one person, I'll openly admit I swagger jacked the fuck out of. And the interesting thing about it wasn't a real life person. It was more of a fictional character. And that's John Leslie's character of Jack in Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. I guarantee you, if you were to watch Talk Dirty to Me and Talk Dirty to Me Part 2 starring John Leslie, and you saw me, you were to see a video of me seducing a lot of women in real life, particularly when I was in my 20s, I would say there would be a 99% chance you would be like, damn, Alan, the way he uses his eyes, his voice, everything is just like John Leslie. Which some black people have found interesting because they like, most black people are used to black men emulating other black men. Most people wouldn't think a black man would be emulating a white Italian dude. John Leslie, he's a white Italian dude. But that's probably no one person, man, when it comes specifically to like verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk. Oh, man. I mean, until you could say, develop kind of my own unique style, that was the number one person I used to emulate, was John Leslie's character. It wasn't even John Leslie himself as much as his character of Jack in Talk Dirty to Me and Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. I would watch closely the way he used his eyes, the way he used his voice, his overall demeanor. And yeah, the first few years, I said minimum, the first like 3, 4, 5 years, when I first started being more one with women, probably 90% of my demeanor and behavior was patterned after John Leslie. Again, that's why you see that poster behind my right shoulder, Talk Dirty to Me, man. Those two movies I just talked about that in my webinar with Ron Wills. I said, them two movies had a profound effect on me, man. You could say they were the impetus for my Mode 1 approach was Talk Dirty to Me and Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. But yeah, man, that's probably no one. It's funny, man. I've probably, still on the subject of Swagger Jack, or having someone kind of influence me and inspire me with some of their mannerisms. A lot of mine have been fictional people rather than like people I hung out with in real life. Like, again, number one would be John Leslie when I was young. Number two was Sean Connery's portrayal of James Bond. I used to pay close attention to Sean Connery when he played James Bond, man. Mickey Rourke in the movie 9.5 Weeks. Yep, he's somebody that to a small degree left an indelible impression on me. I think that movie came out in 1987. Yeah, Mickey Rourke's character of... Yeah, because like when I watch a lot of fictional characters in movies, particularly if the character is some type of like seducer, ladies man, two things I'll pay attention to, if nothing else. I'll pay attention to the way they use their eyes and the way they use their voice. The way they use their eyes and the way they use their voice. So anyway, for me, I find most instances, there might be a few exceptions, most instances of swagger jacking, I actually find that to be amusing and flattering. That's almost to me like an indirect form of flattery. When somebody's swagger jacking, say my facial expressions, the way I use my eyes, the way I use my voice, the way I dress, certain catchphrases I might use, that, But I wanted to clarify, that's to be distinguished from plagiarism. Plagiarism, now that's a serious offense. That's illegal. That's illegal. See, you can't take someone to court for swagger jacking you. It ain't like you can file a lawsuit against somebody for swagger jacking you. You know, Michael Jordan couldn't sue Kobe Bryant for swagger jacking his basketball playing style. That's not something plagiarism, you can take somebody to court for that. A person can land in jail for plagiarism. Just to refresh your memory, most of you should know what plagiarism is. But again, here's what plagiarism is. It mainly has to do with people who are writers, whether it's a book author, a newspaper columnist, a magazine columnist, or even in many cases like a broadcast television talk show personality or news personality, a broadcast radio talk show personality or news personality. Plagiarism is, I'll use myself as an example. If you take any portion of my ebook, my paperback, or my audiobook, my copyrighted material, and you repeat it, regurgitate it, duplicate it, either exactly word for word or very close to word for word without giving me proper credit attribution, that's plagiarism. That's plagiarism. That's illegal. That's not even saying ballpark. Again, swagger jacking, that's more of a lighthearted thing. That's more, I mean, nobody gonna take you to court for swagger jacking. Plagiarism, that's illegal. Example would be, let's say you got the audiobook of Possibility of Sex. I don't know how. You listen to either chapter 2, chapter 3, or chapter 4, and you go on a YouTube video and you repeat everything I said in, say, chapter 3, either exactly word for word or damn near word for word, but you don't mention my name, you don't mention my book, you pretty much act like it's coming from your own mind, that's plagiarism. That's plagiarism. Now, if you say, let's say you listen to my Possibility of Sex audiobook, and then you do a video and you say, hey, just yesterday I was listening to Alan Roger Currie's Possibility of Sex audiobook, and man, he was dropping some major game in chapter 3. Matter of fact, let me give you just a couple of paragraphs of information from chapter 3 in his book, and then you recite everything I say in at least 2 or 3 paragraphs from chapter 3, and you say, man, wasn't that heavy? Man, y'all need to check out Alan Roger Currie's audiobook, The Possibility of Sex. You'll learn a lot from it. See, that ain't plagiarism because you gave me proper credit attribution. And on top of that, you encourage people to go out and buy my book. You can repeat stuff from an established book author word for word or damn near word for word if you give them proper credit attribution. And on top of that, you basically endorse their books. You say, hey, you guys should check out his books. You guys should go buy his books. But if you read something from any of my books, whether it's the ebook version, paperback version, or audiobook version, and you repeat it again, you repeat it, regurgitate it, duplicate it, either exactly word for word or damn near word for word, and you don't give me proper credit attribution, yeah, that's when I can sue you. That's when I can sue you. Matter of fact, I just had a discussion with a copyright attorney. I'm not going to give all the details, but here's my main topic. And I probably won't keep all this for free. I'm probably going to make some of it at least a $2 Patreon. But I'll talk for at least, I don't know, 5 more minutes or so. But the main topic I wanted to talk about is, and speaking of proper credit attribution, I'm going to give somebody proper credit attribution. I'm actually borrowing this talking point from my fellow dating coach, David X, when we spoke together in London in November 2010. One thing David X said is when he was speaking at the Direct Dating Summit in London, he made a very valid point. He said, he told the guys in the audience, he said, you're listening to a number of different speakers. And a lot of these speakers are probably going to say different things that's going to, strike a chord with you or resonate with you. But he said, here's my best advice. He said, what you should do is listen to every speaker. But ultimately, you need to decide who you're going to follow. He basically went on to say, you shouldn't be regularly following 2 or more dating coaches over a long period of time. You shouldn't follow 2 or more dating coaches over a long period of time. And his main reasoning for that, which I totally agree with, he said, if you follow 2 or more dating coaches, it is almost inevitable that one dating coach is going to say something that's contradictory to the other dating coach. It's inevitable. Because no 2 people have had the exact same experiences. No 2 dating coaches have the exact same beliefs, the exact same attitudes, the exact same personal philosophies. And if they do, one person is copying off the other. Speaking of the whole copycat issue, I mean, that's just the truth. If you find 2 dating coaches that have the exact same beliefs, exact same attitudes, exact same personal philosophy, exact same concepts, etc., then that means one of those dating coaches is copying off the other one. One of those dating coaches is copying off the other one. But otherwise, just about all dating coaches are going to have different, like I'll give you one example. Well, I can give you 2 examples. Ron Wills. Me and Ron Wills, who I just did a webinar with, we have a lot of things that are similar to each other. But I know from watching a lot of his videos that he has some things he encourages or condones or teaches that are not exactly in line with what I endorse, condone, or teach. So we definitely, we have our similarities, but there's at least a percentage of things where we're different. AMS. I think everybody knows the difference between AMS. AMS, he's all about the sleazeball gang philosophy. Sleazeball gang philosophy, which basically means he believes, he condones lying to women, misleading women, manipulating women to get them in bed. That's basically what a sleazeball is. I'm the antithesis of a sleazeball. I'm the antithesis of a sleazeball. For those young people who don't know what that means, antithesis means just the opposite of something. When you're antithetical or antithesis of something, that means you're pretty much just the opposite of something. I'm just the opposite of a sleazeball. So, well, speaking of AMS, and I mentioned the young brother, C Boogie. C Boogie was in my comment section a few videos ago, and he made a comment that a lot of people have made a comment. I've made this comment before. But he said, basically, I don't understand how someone could be following you and AMS. I don't understand that. He was basically like, that blows my mind. I don't understand how somebody can say they follow you regularly and follow AMS regularly. Because you're direct, he's indirect. I mean, and it's true. I don't understand why people, number one, I don't think you should ever, to me, here's my thing. This is not the first time I've expressed this. So I've expressed this going back to my Blog Talk Radio days. I remember I expressed this. In at least 1 or 2 previous videos since I've been on YouTube, I've expressed this. I don't think you should ever long-term be following 2 or more dating coaches. I really don't. It might be okay for you to do for the first few days, first few weeks, first few months after you become familiar with both. But at some point, you should just choose one to follow, and that's it. And the main reason goes back to what David X said, is that, because see, I'm going to tell you, here's something that irritates the fuck out of me. Ooh, most of my long-term followers know this about me. This irritates the fuck out of me. I hate when a follower, supporter, or client of mine will send me an email or Facebook inbox message saying, hey, Alan, man, I'll give an example. Hey, Alan, I know you encourage men to talk dirty to women in the first conversation, But I was listening to dating coach XYZ, and he said you should never talk dirty to a woman in the first conversation. You should never even talk about sex in the first conversation. Like, Alan, what do you think about what he said? What do you think about him, what he said? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if somebody gives advice that's contradictory to mine. Why would I give a fuck? Honestly. Dude, if you're a follower, supporter, client of mine, you want to get on my bad side, if only for at least a brief moment, 10, 15 minutes, or 24 hours, ask me my opinion on what another dating coach said. I don't give a fuck what any other dating coach says. I don't give a fuck what any other dating coach says. Because they might have methods that have worked for them in their life that would never work for me. And I know for a fact I have methods that have worked for me that don't work for everybody. I've said that a million times. Mode 1 ain't for everybody. Number one, to be Mode 1, you got to be a ultra ballsy motherfucker. That's the number one ingredient you got to have, man. If you're not ballsy, Mode 1 ain't going to work for you. I'm just going to lay that out. I've said it. Two types of guys I always say right off the bat that Mode 1 is not going to work for a long term. If you're a guy who has a very fragile ego, or what's generally known as emotionally sensitive, thin skin, Mode 1 ain't going to work for you. It ain't. If just generally rejection, and particularly quick, straightforward rejection or abrupt rejection, is something that leaves you egotistically devastated or emotionally devastated, Mode 1 ain't going to work for you. Long term, it ain't going to work for you. Why do you think, I'll bring his name up again, AMS, why do you think AMS indirect approach is so popular? Why he has so many Patreon subscribers and followers? And speaking of David X, David X said this way back in 2010. I remember me and David X were talking, and David X basically said, business-wise, he said an indirect coach is always going to make more money than a direct coach. An indirect dating coach, generally speaking, is always going to make more money than a direct dating coach. He said for the simple fact that when you indirect, man, you're as I always call it, he uses a different set of words. I call it protecting your ego. You're protecting your ego. Indirect protects your ego. And that's essentially what David X said. He said it in a different way, but basically that's what he said in so many words, is that, yeah, indirect protects your ego, man, from being bruised. It protects your ego from being bruised. So yeah, man, I don't think you should ever follow. To me, having 2 or more dating coaches that you regularly follow is like having 2 personal trainers. That's like having 2 or more personal trainers, or 2 or more nutritionists, or 2 or more family physicians. Why would you ever have that? Why would you have 2 family physicians, 2 personal trainers, or 2 personal nutritionists? Why? Why would you have that? There would never be a need for that. Here would be the one exception. Here would be the one exception. Let's say, I'll use personal trainers as an example. Let's say that you got one personal trainer whose number one expertise is your upper body from the waist on up. And another personal trainer, their expertise is helping you with your body from the waist on down. That would be one exception where it would be, okay for you to have 2 personal trainers. Or another way would be, let's say you got one personal trainer who emphasizes cardio type exercises, cardio oriented exercises, and you got another personal trainer who emphasizes free weights, weightlifting. That would be an exception for you to have 2 personal trainers. In other words, they have different areas of expertise. Nutritionists. I can't think of a good example with a nutritionist, but I'll make up one. Let's say you got one nutritionist that covers your food items, and another nutritionist that covers your beverage items. One covers your food items, and the other one covers your beverage items. I can see you having 2 nutritionists in that regard. Matter of fact, I wrote an article that I'll probably include in the comment section when I was explaining how the dating coaching field works. And I basically said, speaking of analogies, I almost loosely compare dating coaches to physicians. If you're familiar with how healthcare works and physicians work, this is what you typically have. Most people have what's known as a family physician. Family physician. What is your family physician? Family physician is when something is wrong with you. You feel like something is wrong with some aspect of your body, and you want to find out what it is. You want to find out what it is. So let's say you go to your family doctor, you say, I haven't been feeling well. And they say, okay, I'm going to take some tests, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, take some x-rays, whatever. And let's say they find out your ailment is related to your heart. Your heart. What that family physician is usually going to do is refer you out to a heart specialist. They're going to refer you and outsource you out to a heart specialist. Let's say your ailment has to do with your eyes. They're going to refer you out to an ophthalmologist. An ophthalmologist is an eye specialist. Other specialists would be a urologist. For women, a gynecologist. Dermatologist is skin ailments. Podiatrist is foot-related ailments. Ear, I forgot what the ear is. Let me look that up real quick. I forgot what an ear specialist. Hold on a second. Oh, I can't even pronounce that. I can't even pronounce that. Well, the simple term, the nickname they said is called audiologist. Audiologist. But the more technical name is otolaryngologist. OTOLARYNGOLOGISTS are physicians who specialize in diseases of the ear, nose, mouth, and throat. Yeah, otolaryngologist. See, I'm having problems pronouncing that. But yeah, man, if you know halfway know anything about healthcare, that's how healthcare usually works. Again, you usually have a family physician that has at least a medium level of expertise in a bunch of different areas. A medium level of expertise in a bunch of different areas to do with your body. But if they want you to have more extensive, specialized treatment to do with some very specific area of your body, they're going to refer you to a specialist. Again, eye specialist, skin specialist, heart specialist, foot specialist, back specialist, stuff to do with your intestines and your digestive system, and so on and so on. Anyway, going back to dating coaches, here's the one time that I would say it's okay to follow two or more dating coaches concurrently. Concurrently is the same thing as simultaneously. Here's another one time I think it's okay to have, is that they have different areas of specialties. If they have different areas of specialty. Let's say, for example, there's 3 dating coaches you follow. And I'm one of them. Now, everybody knows there's a few areas I like to cover in general. But my main area, or you could say specialty, is verbal communications. Anything to do with verbal communications is my specialty. That's my number one specialty, is anything related to verbal communication skills and overall conversation skills. I teach men how to use their verbal communication skills to enhance women's attraction to you, to get women sexually aroused, to quickly identify manipulative head games, to exert your alpha male dominance with women, and so on. Again, there's a lot of other areas I touch on from time to time, but my main specialty is anything directly or indirectly related to verbal communication skills. Verbal communication skills. Matter of fact, shout out to Tony Mason with his classic phrase about ball rubbing, which is, when you tune your horn. If you remember probably the first time I did some ball rubbing after I got on YouTube was like in my first few videos, I was explaining what I felt gave me the credibility to be marking myself as a top dating coach. And I said, if no other area, I said, when it comes to verbal communication skills, I said, there's nobody in the world who can touch me. And I didn't flinch when I said that. I said, there's nobody in the world who can touch me in that area. I still say that. There might be some other areas of dating coach where, I might fall to second place or third place or fourth place. But when it comes to stuff to do with verbal communication skills in general, and even more specifically, verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk, it ain't nobody in the world who can fuck with me. And if they think they can, prove it. Show me your show that's similar to the erotic conversationalist. Shit, motherfuckers who listen to me on Blog Talk Radio know how I get down, dude. I've had married women playing with their pussy with their husbands in the same room. Or their boyfriends in the same room on live fucking internet radio. Name a motherfucker who's that bad. Name one motherfucker who's on that level. I mean, I know y'all saying, damn, Alan bragging now, but hell yeah, I'm bragging. Shit. When it comes to verbal communication and verbal seduction, it ain't a motherfucker in the world who's on my level. I tell that to anybody's face. There ain't nobody in the world on my level in that area. Nobody. I will stake my claim to that. That's the one area of expertise where I would rank myself the best dating coach in the world. Is when it comes to verbal communication skills and even more specifically, verbal seduction / erotic dirty talk skills. Ain't nobody in the world better than me in that. Nobody. My nickname is the King of Verbal Seduction for a reason. Google that shit. King of Verbal Seduction. Ain't nobody else's name come up with the King of Verbal Seduction. That's my shit. Because I got tested. Matter of fact, to give you the quick backstory, and I said this already, one of the ways I earned that nickname, remember the woman I always bring up in certain videos, I always refer to her as a Sharon, but that's not a real name. The one who I said kind of favors the actress and director, Sally Richardson. It was her and two of her girlfriends that mainly gave me that name. And one of the reasons why is because she used to literally take me out to like clubs and parties, and she would challenge me to be mole one with certain women. And she would say basically like, I bet you can't get that woman in bed, or I bet you can't get that woman in bed. And some of the women, yeah, I would fail to. But even the women that I failed to get in bed, they would end up saying, damn, that guy is the most verbally bold and sexually straightforward motherfucker I've ever ran across in my life. So that's the one thing I've always gotten. Even the women who I didn't necessarily get them in bed, they would end up saying, that guy, Alan Currie, that's the most verbally bold and sexually straightforward guy I've ever come across in my life. And anyway, after a bunch of those type of experiences, that's when Sharon and her two girlfriends are saying, Alan, you are the king of verbal seduction. But anyway, going back to my point, ball rubbing aside, here's the only time you should follow, let's say, 3 dating coaches at the same time. Is if you following, I'll use myself as one example. Let's say you following me because I'm real good at verbal communications. But let's say one of the areas you wanted to improve on is your nutrition and your exercise and your overall improving your physique. That's not an emphasis of mine. I touch on nutrition and exercise like kind of, you can say, every blue moon, but that's not a major emphasis of mine. So if there's another dating coach that emphasizes stuff like eating right, exercising, improving your physique, you would want to follow somebody else. Let's say another dating coach's main thing is stuff to do with hygiene, grooming, and clothing. You know, like if I had to think of a guy, he's not a dating coach, but he's more of an image consultant. But Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels is a fraternity brother of mine. That's his main area of expertise. It's stuff to do with grooming, hygiene, and clothing, men's fashion style. And there's probably a few other guys, non-black guys. He's the number one black guy I know in that area, but I'm sure there's some non-black guys. But that would be an example. I could see somebody following multiple people if they got different areas of expertise. Distinctly different areas of expertise. Matter of fact, speaking of that, I remember when I was at the Patreon conference, as most of you know I went to, well, technically I went to two. I went to the national one or the international one in Los Angeles last November. Then they had a regional one in Chicago about 2 months ago. And in the one I went to in Los Angeles, they had these breakout sessions that lasted about an hour. And one of the breakout sessions had to do with who you, as a Patreon content creator, who you should collaborate with and who you shouldn't collaborate with. Who you should collaborate with and who you shouldn't collaborate with. And it was pretty detailed, so I'm not going to rehash all the details. But in the nutshell, there's at least two types of people they said you should never collaborate with. One is related to what I'm talking about. They said you should never collaborate with somebody who's a direct competitor of yours. That's a foolish collaboration. So in other words, using me as an example. Again, I'm a dating coach with the particular emphasis on verbal communication skills. What would be the point of me collaborating with another dating coach whose emphasis is also conversation skills and verbal communication skills? That would be like Burger King collaborating with McDonald's or Coca-Cola collaborating with Pepsi-Cola. You ain't gonna never see that. You ain't gonna never see that. You ain't never gonna see Honda collaborating with Toyota. Why would they do that? They're direct competitors of each other. They sell the same thing. You're not going to see Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare collaborating with Ambetter or some other well-known healthcare provider. I mean, you don't ever want to collaborate. If you're a content creator, and even more specifically like a dating coach, since I'm talking about dating coaches, you don't want to collaborate with somebody whose area of expertise is exactly the same as yours. That's not a good collaboration. Similarly, the second thing they said, you don't want to collaborate with somebody who essentially has the same audience as you do. The same general audience as you do. Your ideal collaboration is to collaborate with somebody who has a totally different fan base than you. And y'all get together so that your fan bases can merge. For example, I don't know, I'll give 2 or 3 examples. Let's say you have one guy, his fan base is European men, and another guy's fan base is American men. And when they collaborate, it brings both of those groups of men together. Or one guy's fan base is black men, he collaborates with another guy's fan base is white men, and he brings them together. One guy is a dating coach. Another guy is a relationship coach, which some people use interchangeably, but those are 2 different things. Dating centers around finding a partner, whether it's a long-term partner, short-term partner, monogamous partner, non-monogamous partner. Dating centers around finding a partner. Relationships center around maintaining a partner. Maintaining a partner once you get them. So dating advice is usually going to be different from relationship advice. So if a dating coach collaborates with a relationship coach, that would be an ideal collaboration. But you don't ever want to, if you're a person who's an aspiring self-help guru, aspiring dating coach, or in any field, really, you can take it beyond dating coach. Let's say, I don't know, your thing is attorney or something. I don't know. Because there's all kinds of content creators on Patreon and on YouTube. But yeah, you don't want to collaborate with people. 2 things. You don't want to collaborate with people who have the same general fan base that you do. And you don't want to collaborate with people who have the same area of expertise as you do. And that's what they explained in this breakout session when I was at the Patreon conference. That's not a good collaboration. That's not a good collaboration. That has the potential to hurt you more than help you. Yeah, you want to collaborate with people who have a different area of expertise than you do. I'll tell you some common business collaborations would be, I'm sure McDonald's, they have a collaboration with beef companies, hamburger bun companies, ketchup and mustard companies, oil to fry French fries in companies, soda pop companies. They collaborate with all those different companies. And most fast foods and restaurants do. So that's an ideal collaboration. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think McDonald's specific soda pop collaboration is with Pepsi, whereas Burger King is with Coke. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Burger King, their specific collaboration is with Coca-Cola for their main soda pop, whereas McDonald's is with Pepsi. But yeah, you want to collaborate with people who enhance your brand. But anyway, I'm kind of getting on segues. My main point of this video was, because I know I have a lot of guys, a certain percentage of guys who follow me and at least one other dating coach. Me and at least one other dating coach. And I'm telling you, in the long run, that's going to be to your detriment, man. And again, David X was the first person to point that out back in 2010 at the Direct Dating Summit in London. Because again, the main detriment to it, it's inevitable. It is inevitable that if you follow me and someone else, there's going to be certain areas of advice that are going to contradict with each other. I'm going to say this, and somebody else is going to say just the opposite. I'm going to say X, Y, Z, and somebody else is going to say just the opposite. And then you're going to end up writing me and asking me these dumbass questions again that irritate me and say, hey, Alan, man, I know you say to do this, but I was listening to one other dating coach. He said you should do just the opposite of that. What do you think about his comments? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Now, again, the only time you should follow 2 or more dating coaches at the same time, 2 or more dating coaches at the same time, is if they have distinctly different areas of expertise. Distinctly different areas of expertise. That's the only time you should follow 2 or more dating coaches, is if they have distinctively different areas of expertise. Again, if I had to recount, what is my number one area of expertise? I have a few areas. Number one, I would say is, again, anything that's directly or indirectly related to verbal communication skills. Verbal communication skills, or put another way, overall conversation skills. That's my number one area of expertise, is verbal communication skills with women. My second, I would say, most area of expertise is helping men understand women's sexual duplicity, women's sexually duplicitous nature, and women's manipulative and materialistic nature. I would say that's probably my second biggest area of emphasis, is helping men understand women's sexually duplicitous nature and women's manipulative and materialistic nature. My third area, this kind of relates to verbal communications in general, is more specifically verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk. Verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk. I know how to help men neutralize or temporarily disable women's social programming, a word that I very much popularized in the manosphere. Social programming. I teach men how to neutralize or temporarily disable a woman's social programming so that they can seduce a wholesome pretender or an erotic hypocrite type. A woman who I refer to as a wholesome pretender or an erotic hypocrite type. Overcoming fear of rejection. I'll probably rank that higher. Yeah, drop all the rest of those down one. I'll probably rank that number 2. That's the number 2 thing I do, is I help men overcome their profound fear of rejection and many of their egotistical insecurities. I help men overcome their profound fear of rejection, their fear of negative reaction, and weeding out their invalid beliefs, their ineffective attitudes, and their self-destructive egotistical insecurities. That's a major point of emphasis for me. What else? I would say the final thing would be help a man understand that in the modern day society, there's different relationships that they can pursue. There's no one type of relationship they can pursue. You know, like back in the days, decades ago, most people just pursued a long-term monogamous relationship, but you can pursue a long-term monogamous, long-term non-monogamous, which is known as polyamory, short-term monogamous, which is known as serial monogamy, short-term monogamous, and short-term non-monogamous, which is also known, of course, as casual sex. So I help guys explore the different ways, different types of relationships you can pursue. And within that frame, probably my final area of expertise, next to being a men's dating coach, I am a BDSM lifestyle and polyamory lifestyle consultant for men, women, and married and unmarried couples. Men, women, and married and unmarried couples. So anybody who's interested in incorporating elements of what's known as the BDSM lifestyle, which primarily centers around erotic domination and erotic submission. I am a paid consultant for a lot of men, women, and couples. And matter of fact, a lot of men actually refer their wives, fiancés, and girlfriends to me for erotic submission training. Yeah, I've actually trained other men's women, which caused a controversy between me and Big Mike, but that's another story. Big Mike from Maxine Lemons. But yeah, that's one of the things I do. I give individual men and women as well as married and unmarried couples advice on transitioning into more of a BDSM-oriented relationship or marriage. Secondly would be what's known as polyamory. Polyamory is any time you're in a long-term non-monogamous relationship or what's also could be known as an open marriage or a marriage where you're not strictly monogamous. That's known as a polyamory. Polyamory is the long-term version of promiscuity. Anytime you have multiple short-term non-monogamous sex partners, that means you're promiscuous. Anytime you have two or more long-term non-monogamous sex partners, that means you're polyamorous. That's the difference between polyamory and promiscuity. Yeah, promiscuity is when you have multiple short-term non-monogamous sex partners. Polyamory is when you have multiple long-term non-monogamous sex partners. A lot of guys frown on long-term on polyamory because they don't want to share pussy. So that's what keeps a lot of men from engaging in polyamorous relationships, because men, they like that pussy ownership shit. You know, where they own a woman's pussy. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. So, bottom line, man, I know all of you all are grown men. Ultimately, you're going to do what you're going to do anyway, whether you ain't gonna always take heed to my advice. But my advice to you would be, you should be very wary of following two or more dating coaches at the same time. Particularly if they have the same general areas of expertise. Because again, it's inevitable that they're going to contradict each other. And again, if they don't contradict each other, let's say you do follow two dating coaches and they seem like they're giving almost the exact same advice, then that means one dating coach is directly copying off of the other one. That's what that means. If you're following two dating coaches and they give, there's nothing different about their advice. Literally everything about their advice is exactly the same. That means one dating coach is copying, and even in some cases probably plagiarizing the other dating coach. They're a direct copycat. And you know how I feel about copycats. Insert dog face here. Until the next video. Peace.